Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jatapadakammalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitang Tang Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitangscha Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pango Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamahang Vande Sri Gurun Dinatarinam Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Himavadivyachtabi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Adadana Srinamdantaya Idam Jate Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padamboja Dulisham Janma Janmani. So I'd like to say something this evening in praise of Srinivas Acharya, Srila Ramananda Ray, and also the exalted dear disciple and eternal associate of Srila Bhakti Saranga Thakur, Srila Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. It's also the dear friend of Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada Swami Maharaj, and worshipable by Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, and much love and affection between them. When Guru Maharaj was staying in the mat and not going out, Srila Gurudev liked to arrange different programs, and he's a young brahmachari. So he learned from Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. He'd make a program. He was a grihasta. So maybe the people won't come to the program of grihasta. So he'd have the saffron-clad Gorendu brahmachari and say, he's going to be there. And then all the people would come, and Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he'd give the talk. And Srila Govinda Maharaj would sing or do other things. At the time, he was, very young, 17, 18, 19 years old. But later, he would arrange programs and bring Goswami Maharaj or Yajavar Maharaj or other Maharajas to, when they were the draw. And he was known for some time as Aprakrita Prabhu, because, which is Saraswati Thakur, it gives us some insight into the way he sees things, and also this undercurrent of humor that we find here, there, and so many different things that he said or did. Because Goswami Maharaj was in the Nityananda Bangsha. That means that family line of descent. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, accepting the analysis of Tota Ramdas Babaji of 13 different types of Sahajya Sampradayas, one is jata-gosai, meaning why are they Gosai or Goswami? They're by birth. They've inherited that title. Whether or not they have those qualifications given by Rupa Goswami, and again, Guru Maharaj is saying, really it's the teachings of Mahaprabhu coming through Rupa Goswami, collecting different things. Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Java Vegam, Udaropasta Vegam, Etan Vegan, Vishaheta Dira, Sarvam Apimam, Pritivim Sasishyat. These are the qualifications, beginning with vacha, control of the tongue, and not just in the negative sense, but the positive sense means the glorification of the Lord and his devotees. Krishna and Karshna means Krishna and his devotees. And not to deal in the higher subject matters unless the senses have been subdued through seva. Sevan mukhe hijavaro shayameva spurtara. And interestingly, the last line says, Sarvam apimam prativim sasisyat. If all these tongue, belly, genitals, etc., everything is subdued, again, infused with serving tendencies, Sarvam apimam prativim sasisyat. Srila Guru Maharaj said, then he can control the world. That's what it is. The world will be his disciple. That's why he's qualified to make this. The world will be his disciple. He's in control of the world through this method, if you want to say. As Srila Guru Maharaj mentioned once about himself and his, we could call, from an analytical point of view, evolution, subjective evolution. Saying he made a vow, he's in college or around that age, and said, he made a vow that he will always and only speak the truth. And he said, and from that day forward, the world became like a ball of play in his hand. We know from Srila Gurudev, there were some times where he needed Guru Maharaj not to say the truth. I'll put it that way. And he knows Guru Maharaj must say the truth. It's like some, what do you say, property-related things, but some men are going to come and ask some questions or something. So Gurudev said to Guru Maharaj, he said, if they come and I speak to them, can you not object to what I say? Guru Maharaj said, that I can do. So the jata-gosai, Aubal, Karta Bhaja, Gauranga Nagari, Neri, there's so many different ones, how do you say, varietal versions of Sahajiism, which in a word it means imitationism, not the real thing. That is the point. So he's Nityananda Bangsha. They're generally, it means in the line of Nityananda Prabhu, descendants. So they, what is it? Ahankare matahoya, but no. What is the line about? In Narottam's song, those who, Guru Maharaj said, with relation to the descendants of Advaita Acharya, Se Pashu Barodurachar. What is the line before that? Anyway, saying Narottam is canceling this group. Anyway, maybe it will come. So it's that song, but it's the lines that before, Say Pashu Barodurachar. Such a big animal is he. It's about those who are proud of their education. It's the line before that. And then you have to go on. It goes on. It has to do with education and ahankar. Anyway, so he's worshipable personality. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Sri Gaudiya Math, they're like the declared enemies of all varieties of Sahajiyaism. Right? So he comes to the lotus feet of Srila Saraswati Thakur, and he's wholly given over to him, so that Saraswati Thakur calls him aprakrita. Means the others are prakrita sahajiyas, mundane Nityananda Vangsha. He's aprakrita, appearing like them but not. He is the substantial person. And sometimes he is coming to the aid even of Srila Saraswati Thakur. There were some who objected to, they present Srimad Bhagavatam and put a picture of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in the front. So they're saying, Srimad Bhagavatam, they're coming to him because they revere him. And they're saying, the Srimad Bhagavatam, that is the body of Krishna. How can this be done? And Goswami Maharaj said to them, he said, Guru is the representation of Srimati Radharani. Then how pleased Krishna will be to come in connection with Radharani in this way. But he prefaced his remarks. So he's saying, she's adorning the body of Krishna. Anything objectionable there? Now we can understand some of his cleverness. Also demonstrated in the fact that there was one Rani, this queen whose husband was not, and a king was not inclined toward Krishna consciousness. But she was, and she wanted to do some seva. And Goswami Maharaj was known as a great collector, that he could turn anything into a donation. He never left without a donation. We're told on Brihaspati Barbela, roughly Thursday afternoon, not a good time to engage in financial transactions. One may incur loss. That's when he would go out collecting. You understand? Others will incur loss, but they don't understand. But their so-called loss, he'll be distributing sukriti. That is his concept. So this queen, she wants to give something, but cannot meet with him. So in the same town, she arranges for a place for him and his assistant to stay, but she can't meet. So they arrive, they're shown to their room, and her assistant says to Goswami Maharaj, like, the queen wants to know if you have everything that you need. And he said, all the arrangements here are perfect, but there's one thing missing, is a pillow. Tell her I need a pillow. So the man returns to the queen, and then he comes back with this sack, pillow-like sack, and it's full of money. That's what he said. I need one pillow from the queen. So in so many ways, we know his divine personality and so much affection and regard he has for Srila Guru Maharaj, that when his Vyas Puja would come, the disciples come and they give the pranami, the donations to him. He'd collect them all, and at the end, he'd give all the donations to Srila Guru Maharaj. And they revived the Vishva-Vaishnav-raja-sabha of Jiva Goswami to Saraswati Thakur. And every year they'd have this meeting, and Guru Maharaj would be elected the president. And Guru Maharaj would accept the presidency and then transfer it to Goswami Maharaj. That's how they would interact. And he would always come, as many, the senior disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would come and stay with Guru Maharaj for a month or so to get his association and to become adjusted, ontologically, siddhantically, properly adjusted. And he himself said, like in the usual expression, simhavalokana, the way that lions move, they go like this, and go like that, and go. So what he means to say is, we're going to proceed in our preaching field, and we look back to Srila Sridhar Maharaj to make sure we're still going in the right direction and under the influence of his conception. How much regard is there? And we hear that in his final days, one thing I would say is Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, his sister, Bhavatarini Didi, she had Harinam from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. She wanted to take second initiation from Srila Guru Maharaj. He was hesitating at the time to initiate. But in the lifetime of Saraswati Thakur, he had given Ritvik empowerment to Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. So Guru Maharaj felt that was safe. So he directed Bhavatarini Didi Pishima, we knew as she was referred to affectionately by all the devotees, to him. And we've seen also, she did with Prabhupada, she loves to cook. And so she'd make all these things and give them to Goswami Maharaj, and what would make her lose her mind is he would take everything she made and then mix it all into one. And that's the way he would take it, like to try and prevent himself from, approaching prasadam with an enjoying mentality. But she would go, oh, Baba, he's mixing everything, sweet, sour, rice, dal, mixing it. After the disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, just like always, some dark cloud descends and devotees are heartbroken and sometimes bewildered, or periods of inauspiciousness come, and he was, as they would say, returning to his village. Means, you're home, going back, and there was a great loss to the mission, and Guru Maharaj himself, being in Nabadwip alone, took Godbrother some time to even find him. But the way they got to Guru Maharaj is by saying, there's some stalwart followers of Saraswati Thakur, they're returning to their former positions, it's heartbreaking, how can we tolerate this? So Srila Guru Maharaj went there and preached to Goswami Maharaj, and he was on a mission. And I forget, it might have taken 10 days, 2 weeks. There was a disciple he had made whose name was Vishnu Jana. Right? And so Guru Maharaj said, this Vishnu Jana, because Goswami Maharaj was a householder at the time, Guru Maharaj saying, this Vishnu Jana, he's given up everything for you. Now you must give up everything for him and take sannyas. Which he did, and we're told that Guru Maharaj was not held in high regard and favor by his wife. The Guru Maharaj came there and left with her husband. These are the pastimes, some of the pastimes of the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Oh, and the last thing I want to say is that in his final days, those years, Guru Maharaj could no longer attend his Vyas Puja. And people would say, oh, Goswami Maharaj, how was your Vyas Puja this year? And he said, this year was not so nice. Right, Sridhar Maharaj could not come. Then As he really approached the final, he stopped talking altogether to anyone. So Guru Maharaj again could not come to see him, so he sent Srila Govinda Maharaj. And as soon as Srila Govinda Maharaj got there, he's talking to him and without hesitation and extensively, but not to anybody else. So, and Goswami-astakam, written by Srinivas Acharya. We've heard in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, when he takes sannyas, when the word spreads like wildfire that Nimai Pandit is going to take sannyas, and all the people are coming, and Guru Maharaj has it in his Prema Dhamma Deva Stotram, Loka Lochanashru, Harsha, Kirtan Bantanam, tears falling from the eyes of millions to see the beautiful hair of Nimai Pandit being shorn by the barber. It's just the hearts of these devotees. They're crying and they're threatening Keshava Bharati, and the barber doesn't want to do it. No, he looks so, he's inconceivably beautiful. We understand. Krishna, Yang Shama Sundaram Achinta Guna Sarupam, Krishna, Shobhana, Krishna, he's appearing as Gauranga Mahaprabhu. He's inconceivably beautiful, and particularly with his beautiful curling hair, so it's breaking the hearts of the devotees. And we're told from a nearby village, one man, his name was Padmanabha, he had come and seen when, at the time of the name giving, when Keshava Bharati said, because you will revive Krishna consciousness in every living being and distribute Krishna consciousness to everyone, your name must be Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And then the crowd is cheering and dancing, and that Padmanabha, he's saying, Chaitanya, 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 returns to his village, and everyone said, Prabhu, what happened there in Katwa? And he would just say, Chaitanya, Chaitanya, Chaitanya. And he became known as Chaitanya Das. Later, visiting Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, Mahaprabhu gave him a benediction. He said, you will have a very devoted son. He will be a super exalted devotee. And that son was Srinivas, who becomes Srinivas Acharya. And at the age perhaps 14, 15, he's running madly to Nabadwip. It was Mahaprabhu's desire that he learn Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit. And if we think about that, Gadadhar Pandit, Srimati Radharani in Gaur Leela, who's explaining Bhagavatam to Mahaprabhu, Haridas Thakur, Swarup Damodar, all the exalted associates there. It's like Radharani is explaining the Bhagavatam. Yadamayam Mahima Sri Bhagavatyam Katayam Pratipatam Anubhutam Apya Laddavideya Tarakila Rasamurti Shamalila Avalambam Madhura Rasadi Sri Radha Padapadmam Prapadye. It's ultimately about her and service to her holy lotus feet, Guru Maharaj telling in this sloka. But that Srinivas Acharya, he is taken in by Vishnupriya Devi and Ishan there, because they hear there's this teenage boy mad in separation from Mahaprabhu on the banks of the Ganga. And they can see he's an exalted soul, they take care of him. And we know that later he is his associates, Narottam Thakur, Shyamananda Prabhu, Srinivas Acharya. And he's entrusted with all the books of the Goswamis. And it occurred to me today, in the lives of different devotees, they may make some mistake, or not fulfill some responsibility and feel remorse about that or horrible about it. But I was saying, what compares to this? He has given all the books of the Goswamis, which he writes in his praise of them, Nana Shastra Vicharanai Kunipanosha Dharma Sangstapako. How expert they are in producing the Bhakti Shastra. What does it mean? They're extracting. Veda is oceanic. The Ved, Puranas, the Smriti, Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Panchratra, Vidimvi, etc. To extract the essence from there. And not just the essence in terms of essential teachings, like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we're saying Upadesamritam, Srimad Bhagavatam of Sanatan Goswami, Mukta Charita Raghunath Das Goswami, Ujjvala Nilamani, Lalita Madhava, the books of Jiva Goswami, all these books, they're entrusted to him. And he loses them. They're stolen. So whatever events might happen in the course of our aspirations to serve, I don't know what could compare to this sort of loss or apparent dereliction in duty. But it's Leela pastimes. And we're told in one kingdom, this King Birhambir, an astrologer told him, there's the most valuable treasure ever known is entering your kingdom. Really? So they have to send some men out to get that. And they find the trunk as described by the astrologer. And then they see these books that are practically indecipherable. Right? And we're told Srinivas Acharya at this point is like mad. He can't sleep, he can't think straight, he's talking to himself, he's completely in a state of madness. And that king likes to hear the Bhagavatam, he goes to the court, they have a Bhagavatam reading every afternoon or something. He's there, and the man explaining the Bhagavatam says something inappropriate and incorrect. And Srinivas says, no, what you should say, that's not right, it should be like, they're going, what? Saying, no, I'm just, what, you can explain this better than our court pundit? Then he starts giving his explanation. Everyone is astonished. And he's saying, and I could tell you more, but I've lost the books of the Goswamis. And I'm saying, oh, we have a trunk that we couldn't figure out. We couldn't understand what is written in here. Then we can understand it's Leela. But still, what does Krishna do to his devotees? To churn the heart. Like, we should remember, it's not like Srinivas Acharya knows how this is going to end. Right? That would not allow for the maximum emotional intensity. So factor in Yogamaya. He doesn't know. They don't know how these things end. They don't know that Krishna will be released from Kaliya. That's Yogamaya. It's Maya. There's Mahamaya, Yogamaya. You have a choice. We all have a choice. If you're under the influence of Mahamaya or Yogamaya. Right? So that Srinivas Acharya, how he we could say he's searching for the remaining Parshada associates, eternal associates of Mahaprabhu. In one case, he finds Abhiram Thakur, right, who's one of the Dwadasha Gopals, 12 cowherd boys who descended with Nityananda Prabhu. Perhaps Sridham. And he's heard about this extraordinary personality, wants to come and see him, have his darshan. We're told he has a whip, a spiritually conscious whip named Jai Mangal. If he whips somebody, they get Krishna Prem. We're told he was whipping someone once and his wife was going, Prabhu, stop. I don't think he can take that much Prem. So they're all of Nityananda Prabhu's eternal associates are eccentric. And various Meena Keitanaram, Abhiram Thakur, what is another thing he does? He carries around a flute that's, would take 60, it's a tree trunk. It would take 64 men to lift it. And he's like twirling it, throwing it up like a baton and playing on it. So when Srinivas Acharya comes for his darshan, the famous example we've heard about, if the Guru says it's a snake is a rope, you see a rope. If he says a rope is a snake, you see a snake. Abhiram Thakur did that to Srinivas Acharya. And Srinivas Acharya passed in flying colors. And Guru Maharaj is saying, so that sort of faith you have to have. And Guru Maharaj said, he was not deceived by fossilism. Seeing the external thing. He has so much faith, it may contradict, and we should expect that. What we hear from Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, and Vaishnav necessarily must contradict our objective view and interpretation of things. Right? So, that Srinivas Acharya, he, in the Sad-Goswamy-astakam song, he's highlighting like specific qualities of the 6 Goswamis. Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago to Sri Jiva Gopalako. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And particularly, just some of the highlights of what he says. Krishnot Kirtana Gana Nartana Pro Premamritam Bhoni Di Dira Dira Janapriyo Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Sri Chaitanya Kripabaro Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako Bande Rupa Sanatano Raghurigo Sri Jiva Gopalako. So he's saying they're drowning in an ocean of Krishna Prem. Like this is by way of introducing them. Premamritam Bhoni Di. And they're singing and dancing and what Krishna Utkirtan. They're making their kirtan is loud, their kirtan is profound. And what is this kirtan that they're doing? Besides what they may be doing locally, and it will appear, Nana Shastra Vicharana, extracting the essence of the scriptures and putting that in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, the book on devotion, the science of devotion. Sanatan Goswami, Srimad Bhagavatam, step-by-step delineation of all of the development of Krishna Bhakti, from Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhura, identifying Sanatan Goswami as the Bhakti Siddhanta Acharya. And when he says, Dira, Dira, Jana Priyo, Priya Karo, they were dear to everyone. Means nice people like them, and people who are not so nice also like them. So the nice and not so nice, they're sometimes having a conflict with each other, but they all liked them. Guru Maharaj said they would call Sanatan Goswami Prabhu Buro Baba, like, grandpa. People, they like everyone who lived near Sanatan Goswami. It doesn't mean they were ontological, Siddhantic geniuses. They just liked him. Like Srila Gurudev. So many people just liked him for his affectionate dealings. And it says, Nirmatsaro Pujito. Nirmatsarja. The second sloka of the Bhagavatam, Dharmak Projita Kaita Botra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam. Nirmatsarja means non-envious. Right? Well, why are people envious of one another? Because of something that someone else possesses that they don't have, or some position they're holding that they resent. But we're told in that book of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Man Shunyata, this absence of ego, is, Saraswati Thakur says, Vaishnavi Pratishta Tatikoro Nishta. So a mundane scholar, pragmatist, once said, we should, how did he say? We should concern ourselves with those whose opinions matter. That's how he put it. We should concern ourselves with those whose opinions matter. And what he means by that, he's saying, whether there are, gods and goddesses, who knows? We don't really know that. Right? Like in the Greek civilization, like whether Zeus approves of what we're doing or not. Like that's not how we're going to decide what we do. But you matter, I matter, all of us. We're the people who matter. We have the opinions that matter. So that's what we should concern ourselves with, not with non-verifiable superior or supreme beings. So, well, it kind of makes sense, and to a certain extent. Saraswati Thakur says, Vaishnavi Pratishta Tati Koro Nishta. His concern, he's saying, whose opinion matters? The Vaishnavas. As it's told, when they say, how are you? And the Vaishnavas respond, Tomar Kripa, as you keep me. I don't know how I am. You know how I am. That's the position of the aspiring servitors. Say, how are you? I don't know. You know that. You can answer that question. They're concerning themselves with whose opinion matters. But they're saying, the people of this world, their opinions don't matter, right? When it comes to these things. Sometimes Guru Maharaj would reference the Latin expression, vox populi, vox Dei, that the voice of the people is the voice of God. He'd say, vox populi is not vox Dei, the voice of the people, democracy, that is not the voice of God. So we want to concern ourselves with whose opinion matters. That means Krishna and Krishna, Krishna and his devotees. And just as a side point, that gentleman before saying, we should not waste our time on the opinion of unverifiable things that are unverifiably true. But if you press that man, where should we take our guidance from? You'd say, literature, particularly fiction, the great writers. because they can represent the voices of those who cannot articulate their position. And saying, so then you're saying fiction, which by its definition is not verifiably true, that'll be the source to guide us and to concern ourselves with. Then I say, if you can do that, then what is expressed here and these so-called unverifiable truths by objective means, and another place someone said about a particular writer, we need nothing more than his authorial voice to understand the truth of what he's saying. You're saying, what a great compliment. So you're saying when it comes to this fiction, it doesn't need to be true. Art is a lie that tells the truth. If you want to tell the truth, write fiction. Romeo and Juliet, it doesn't matter whether there was literally a Romeo and literally a Juliet. The truth of this story resonates with people. So what is verifiably true is of lesser value than what is subjective. So, so man shunyata means the reason they're not envious, that there's no one in this world who they're trying to gain their favor or establish their reputation with. Sri Chaitanya Kripabaro Bhuvi Bhuvo Bharavahantarako. So much assonance and alliteration also in what he's saying. And so they're distributing the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lokanam hitakarano tribhuvane manyo sharanyakaro Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyago Sri Jiva Gopalako. And when this line we like. Gopi Bhava Rasam Ritabdi Dilahari Kalola Magno Muhur. Drowning in an ocean of Gopi Bhav. What does Gopi Bhav mean? The abject self-sacrifice, self-giving. As we heard recently in praise of Prahlad Maharaj, the Atma Samarpanam, self-giving. And that sounds a little abstract. So Guru Maharaj puts it very nicely and very simply. He's saying, give heart and receive heart. That's what it means. Right? So we can say, what does Atma Samarpana mean? Give heart, receive heart. Right? Krishna is capable of reciprocating heart. He is not heartless, abstract, impersonal. He can reciprocate heart. And speaking of oceans, the beginning of the chapter 8, Madhya Lila, the Ramananda Sambad, where Guru Maharaj says he extracts his ontological method from there. He finds everything there, beginning, middle, and end, from Varnashram to Radha Dasyam. He's saying everything is there. When Guru Maharaj would sometimes search for his glasses and he'd go, there's no difference. Like whether they're on or, it was just a prop in time. Like it didn't, he was just laughing about it because he's what people might call legally blind. He cannot see so well. So I wondered if he ever read anything. Like when was the last time he read something? Because Guru Maharaj is an ocean of Bhakti Siddhanta, like what we said about Ramananda, Sancharja Rama Vida Bhakta Meghe, Swabhakti Siddhanta Chayamritani, Gorabdir, that Mahaprabhu is like, he is this Ratnalaya, an ocean of Siddhantic gems, and the cloud of Ramananda has appeared from this ocean. The ocean is Mahaprabhu. Ramananda is the Bhakta Meghe, the devotional cloud appearing from him. What is he doing? Raining these Siddhantic gems back on the ocean for the pleasure of the ocean. So I asked Gurudev, does Guru Maharaj ever read anything? And he said, no. Like, in other words, he hasn't read anything in who knows how many years, 20, 30 years. And all of this is coming out of him. It's his constant inner dialogue. And then Gurudev said, oh, no, actually there is one thing. He said, from time to time, he has me read him the Ramananda Sambad, the talks between Ramananda Ray and Mahaprabhu. He goes over that. Like, in other words, it's all within him, but he's checking to see some particular part. And if you read there, it is astonishing. And you see thematically, Guru Maharaj, the Ramananda, it's systematic, going higher, deeper. Right? Srimad Bhagavatam, systematic, higher, deeper. Upadesamritam, higher, deeper. Iho bahya agi kahuar. So, in the Ramananda Sambad, told when Mahaprabhu, after he converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, when you go on your tour of South India, remember, there he goes, demonstrating the superiority of his Krishna conception over each one of the major sampradayas. He said, you should, when you're in Vidyanagar, there's more than one, but this is a particular place, there's on the Godavari, banks of the Godavari, meet with Ramananda. That is my advice. And later when Mahaprabhu returned, he said, you know, Sarvabhauma, I didn't meet anyone like you on the whole tour. And Guru Maharaj said, indirectly he's endorsing himself because Sarvabhauma is his creation. He's saying, but for Ramananda. And that I thank you for. And we're told Mahaprabhu's sitting there, looks like the sun sitting on the bank of the river dressed in saffron garments. Right? And Ramananda comes with his attendants, and then they meet and have this discussion. And Mahaprabhu's asking Ramananda the questions. And Ramananda's instructing him. Mahaprabhu is the sannyasi, Ramananda is the grihasta. Right? It should be the other way around. But Mahaprabhu is always showing something. Who's the namacharya? A Muslim, Haridas Thakur. Right? Who's instructing Mahaprabhu? A grihasta is telling the sannyasi. And after dismissing Varnashram Dharma and Krishna Karmarpanam of the Gita as being external, including Sarvadharmam Parityaja Mamekam Sharanamra, dismissing that, pressing him further. The first thing that Mahaprabhu accepts is when Ramananda says, Jnane Priyasamurapasanamantaeva Jivanti Sanmukharitam Bhavadiyavartam Stane Stitam Shrutikatam Tanavan Manobir Ye Prayaso Jita Jito Pisi Taistre Lokyam. Krishna is a Jita. He's unconquerable. So don't waste your time trying to conquer him with your mind and your intellect and your estimation and your whatever, your karmic activities, jnanic, you're wasting your time. Jnane prayasamura, give up trying to measure the infinite by finite means. Sanmukharita. And begin here stanestita shrutikatam tanuvan manovir, and begin hearing from his agent, from the devotee, the Krishna loving devotee, his empowered agent. And when he says, Mahaprabhu says, Iho hoy, that I accept. Now we're connected to, before, why are what was being recommended in the Gita being told, being external here? Because you're dealing with the external world. When we say, all right, what it means, if you're being given this advice, you're not doing that apparently. Otherwise you wouldn't need this particular advice to offer everything to Krishna. Meaning, you're not doing that. This will be an improvement for you to take the things of this world and offer them to Krishna. But to go higher into the plane of consciousness, still, it's all advice for someone who's at the threshold. They haven't entered yet. And so he's saying, your first real connection, substantial, with Krishna, is through his devotee. That's the first thing he accepts. Not just how you deal with the paraphernalia of this world, right? Or how you structure your life. You must have connection with his agent, with his devotee, and how hearing from them, then some substantial Krishna conception will enter you. Right? Not just by reading a book or following some sort of shastric advice. So, Mahaprabhu said, Iho hoy, that I accept. Age kahohar. Now let's go further. Age kahohar, how does Guru Maharaj translate that? Dive deep into reality. So he's saying, this is reality. Now, connection with his agent. Now go deeper, dive deep into that reality. And the Bhagavatam verse is mentioned there. Dharmak swanushtitak pungsang vishvaksena katasu yaha notpariyed yadiritam shrama eva hikevalam. Notpariyed yadiritam. If you don't develop some rati, some taste for this sort of hearing, it's saying, Dharma, whatever you're doing is a waste of time. That's how you know whether it's good, bad, valuable, invaluable. He's saying, if the end result of whatever it is you're doing, if it doesn't result in some increased attraction for hearing about Krishna from his devotees, you're wasting your time. That's what's mentioned there. So then he goes through Shanta Rasa, Dasya Rasa, Sakya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, and Madhura, and then Svakya Parakya. So it's come up to the point of Radha Tattva, Krishna Tattva, and Radha Tattva, the glories of Srimati Radharani. And what is given there, in quoting Das Goswami, cannot be discussed or described. It's just extraordinary. Right? And so after hearing this, and so now we've gone, with the dismissal of Varnashram, now we've approached Radha Dasyam. Right? The culmination of Rasa and the service of the Holy Lotus Feet of Srimati Radharani. And Mahaprabhu saying, can you say anything more than that? And Ramananda saying, I'm not sure if you can go beyond that. You said at the beginning of our discussion, whatever I will say, I should give some shastric reference for that. But there is something I could say, but I can't quote any shastra to support that. But I've written a song. And if you like, you can hear it. And he begins this song with Pailehi, I forget the rest, but anyway, that's the first line. And what is described in here, in Guru Maharaj's words, Nayana Bhangi, is Radha and Krishna being so absorbed in self-forgetfulness, merged into one another, that they can't distinguish whether they're together or apart. It's like separation and union, union and separation. And so he said, this hints at the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu put his palm over his tongue and said, don't say any more. Because really, he's talking about him. Saying, is there anything more than Krishna Tattva and Radha Tattva? And he's saying, well, if they combine and are lost in one, stop. Like you, stop. Don't say anymore. And Ramananda saying, and there's something that's distracting me, which is when we were talking in the beginning, you were in the dress of a sannyasi, and now I see you're not like that anymore. Now I see that I'm saying Shyama Sundar Krishna, and he's covered by a golden girl. What is this? And he's saying Shyama Sundar Krishna, and Mahaprabhu saying, oh, you are such an exalted soul, a Maha Bhagavata of the highest order, that wherever you cast your glance, you see Krishna. So when you look at me, you also see Krishna. And Ramananda, no, don't tease me like that. It's saying, I see Shyama Sundar Krishna, but then there's a golden girl enveloping him. And then caught, Mahaprabhu says, I'm not golden. Who is golden? Radharani is golden. It's only by the touch of Radharani that I've become golden. And who does she? She only embraces one person. Krishna. You're saying Rasaraj, Mahabhav. Now you see Rasaraj Krishna, Mahabhav Swarupini, Radha Thakurani, combined as one. And Guru Maharaj said, see how they mingle. And with that Ramananda fainted. And when he awoke, there was the sannyasi, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, before him. And so he'd established, what's the most important thing? Hearing from the devotee. So later, when Pradyumna Mishra goes to Mahaprabhu and said, I would like to hear Krishna Katha from you. And Mahaprabhu said, Krishna Katha, Ami Jani Na. I don't know any Krishna Katha. He's Krishna. He said, I don't know Krishna Katha. Ramananda knows. You should hear from him. Right? Because what was in Ramananda Sambad also saying, you can only really get this from Radharani, her girlfriends and assistants. From the Sakya. Only they can give you entrance into this plane. Mahaprabhu was saying, that's how I got this connection. He's not exempting himself. So Ramananda considered his Ragamarg Diksha Guru. So he's telling Pradyumna Mishra, you go hear from Ramananda. So he goes, and what does he find? Ramananda is teaching the Jagannath Ballabha Natak play of his to two Devdasis, these dancing girls who dance for the pleasure of Jagannath. He's training them. Remember, he's Vishaka Saki in Krishna Lila. So Vishaka, Lalita Vishaka, Lalita Swarup Damodar, Vishaka, Ramananda Roy. So Vishaka has descended. She can teach these girls the proper gestures to express different types of bhav. but she's like their coach, trainer. So she's also massaging them completely. And when Pradyumna Mishra hears this, he's in a state of shock, gives his danda because he hears from Ramananda, he's a little busy right now with the Dev Dasis. They're Paramasundari, so beautiful. And so, you know. And what is he doing? He's their coach, training and massaging. And he's like, Hare Krishna, I give my dandavats and go back to Mahaprabhu. So you heard from Ramananda. He was busy. And Mahaprabhu, oh, I see. Oh, so I see what you're thinking. Mahaprabhu said, if I hear the name of a woman or see a statue of a woman, my mind is disturbed. Not so Ramananda, this Ek Ramananda. It looks like he's a person of this world. He has a siddha deha, aprakrita deho. There's that word again, aprakrita. Looks like mundane, but not. It's Vishaka Saki. Vishaka Saki descending as Ramananda Roy has not, a trace amount of exploitive tendency toward females. Right? Ramananda sees them as gopis. Vishaka, through the eyes of Ramananda, seeing them as gopis, aspirational gopis, training them to be gopis, basically. So Mahaprabhu is saying, you go there again and tell Ramananda that I sent you. So you go there and again, I was busy before, excuse my aparat. He's saying, Mahaprabhu told me to tell you that he sent me here to hear from you. Oh, well, then I must say something. What would you like to hear? What sort of Krishna Katha? And he said, that what was heard on the banks of the Godavari, that what Sridhar Maharaj likes to hear again and again and again, I want to hear that. That's what he says. Saying that talk. And we're told, then Ramananda begins. And remember, Guru Maharaj knows this so perfectly, even in the lifetime of Saraswati Thakur. His name was Ramendra Chandra Bhattacharya. At initiation, he became Ramendra Sundar. Saraswati Thakur changed his name to Ramananda Das. And he uses that name near the end of the Premadama Stotram. So Ramananda madly engaged in Krishna Katha from that moment on until the evening comes, the end of the day. Right? And so Pradyumna Mishra, he's so happy and satisfied. He leaves dancing, he dances back to Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu, so you heard? Yes, you're so kind, I heard from Ramananda. He's saying, but there's one other thing Ramananda said that you didn't mention. Oh, what is that? He said it's not actually him who's speaking. Oh? He said, actually, you are speaking through him. He said, you're playing him like an instrument. He's the instrument and you're the player of that instrument. Okay. All these things are true. Hare Krishna. But Mahaprabhu was always wanting to shine the spotlight on the devotion of his devotees. Okay. And ultimately his beloved Srimati Radharani. Jari gorna hoita tabiki hoita kemani dari tam dehe radhar mahima prema rasasima jagata janata ke. Hare Krishna. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopal Govinda Ram Srimad Sudan. Gopal Govinda Advaita Chandra Garadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raghuna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhata Dasa Raguna Hey Jai Gosai Gori Charana Bandhan Jaha hoite Vignana Sabhishta Puran Hey Jai Gosai Jarnui Taradan Pansabhava Padarenu Mora Panchagan Kandera Charana Devi Bhakta Sanivas Janame Janame More Abhiram Hey Jai Gosai Jabe Bhaje Koilovas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Kori Loprakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Bhajai Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan Harinam Sankirtan Kore Narottamadan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Jai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gaura Hari Bo Jai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gaura Hari Bo Jai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gaura Hari Bo Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Satara Sati Shri Srimad Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Bhagavan Bhakti Saranga Thakur Ki Jai Jai Saparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharva Govinda Sundar Ji Ki Jai Jai Saparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Sundar Ji Ki Jai Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhattu Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad-Goswamy Prabhu Ki Jai Namacharya Sridhar Das Thakur Ki Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Basari Gau Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Govinda Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Nabadwip Dham Ki Jai Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai Sri Gupta Govardhan Ki Jai Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Vishva-Varanya Srilesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Nabadwip Maharaj Ki Jai. Sannyasi Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Seva Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande.
Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. And Maharaj, Dandavats from Ramsundar Prabhu, Jayadev Goswami Prabhu, and Purushottam Prabhu, USA, Rasananda Prabhu, Sochi, Sevarupa Didi, Mexico, Adityananda Prabhu and Vijay Krishna Prabhu, and Ishanuga Didi from UK, Garuda Prabhu and Harinam Ananda Prabhu, Colombia, Radhana Rupini Didi, Krishna Chandra Prabhu and Murahari Prabhu, Philippines, Krishnadas Tarachand, Vrindavan, Sanjoy Day from India, Prema Rupa Didi, Saraswati Didi, Nanda Nandana Didi, and Lila Sundar Prabhu, Ukraine. That's it.
Jai Sri Hari Das Prabhu in Brazil, Dandavat. Chaitanya Nitai Prabhu in Vrindavan, Dandavat. Sandeep, Krishna, where is he? Okay. Hare Krishna. He's in Greater Madhupuri, right? Parama Bhakti Deity in Brazil, Dandavat. Yadunandini Deity, Dandavat. We just talked there in Hungary with Moyor Bhakta Vrinda. Govinda Nandini Deity in Moscow, Dandavat. Praneshwari Deity, Dandavat doing the Spanish translation. Achyutananda and Yaroslavo, Dandavat. Gaur Chandra Prabhu, Nadhotka, Russia, Dandavat. Anandamoyi Deity in China, Dandavat. Anjali Deity, where's she at? In Kiselny, yes, Dandavat. Gaur Nataraj Prabhu in Brazil, Dandavat. Kalindi Priya in Thailand, Dandavat. Priyanana Deity somewhere in Siberia, Dandavat. Pavel Brun, yes, Prabhu, Dandavat. Sevarupa in South Africa, Dandavat. More Anjali, Dandavat. She's in Ukraine, Dandavat. Anantarupa, here, oh, okay. Lakshmi Priya in Kiev, Dandavat. Ajita Krishna Prabhu in Kiselny, Dandavat. Nityananda Dasa doing the Russian translation here. Indumukhi and Mitravinda in China. Chandrakanti in China. Ananta Shesh Prabhu in Spain. Shamala Deity, Dandavat. Nalina Nayana Deity in China, Dandavat. With Ram Sundar, Hare Krishna. Leela Sundar Prabhu, Dandavat. Sulakshana is doing the Chinese translation here. Dhananjaya Prabhu, Dandavat. Prafula Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Natalia, Dandavat. This Kalindi Priya, it's another one. In Ukraine, Dandavat. Malati, Dandavat. Oh, Ekadashi and Subhada, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Lakshmi Priya Deity in Kiev, Dandavat. That's it?
And Anandamoy here?
Which Anandamoy?
The second row, Anandamoy Deity.
I saw her before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Vanchakalpa Tribhyascha, oh, Achyutananda and Yaroslava Dandavat. Vanchakalpa Tribhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. And there's Janavi in China, Dandavat. Hare Krishna.
Oh, and Maharaj, Bhakti 7th Rishikesh Maharaj, there, third row.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Bhakti 7 Rishikesh Maharaj, Dandavat, and surrounded by Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. Huh?
In the car. Yeah.
They're on traveling Sankirtan. Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad.
Jai Shri Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj ki jai.